Good morning and welcome to the Bond Sunday morning services. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am getting letters and phone calls and emails from people around the world about the Bond Sunday morning service, and I appreciate you tuning in. If you have any questions or comments, you can email them to bond@bondinfo.org. Name and town, and I can try and answer your questions today during the services. So thank you again for tuning in. Let me just welcome everybody here. Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. Are you guys excited to be mothers? Are you excited to be mothers? Well, I'm going to see if you're excited once I'm done with my message today. I want to see if the excitement will still be there. We're going to talk about the role of mothers today, since it's Mother's Day, and I want to wish everybody out there in the world happy Mother's Day. I wanted to really try and present this in a right way. Normally, I'm real hard on mothers. I'm just pointing out how awful they are, how they mess up the world. It's funny. I was in the auto shop the other day getting my car service, and I'm sitting there waiting for my car. And some women came in, and they were sitting waiting, and a black guy was sitting there. He was waiting, right? And so we saw this police beating in Philadelphia on the TV, the thing on the TV. And I said, you know what? It's a shame that these guys are running away from police officers like that. That's why they end up, getting their butts kicked. And the guy like, yeah, that's right. You're right about that. And I said, you know why they are running, why they're like that? and so me and the guy just kind of talking, and he said, I forgot what he said. And I said, well, no, that's not the reason. The reason for it is these angry mothers. I said, we're allowing the world to take over, women to take over. And when women take over, the world fall apart. And when I said that, all hell broke loose in that place. It was amazing. It was a woman that sitting over there, she just started yelling at me. You can't say that about women. That's not true. It's the men. I'm like, no, it's not. I'm like enjoying myself, right? No, it's not. And the lady behind the desk said, you can't blame us. It's the man. If the men were at home, it wouldn't be happening. I said, but the men can't be home because they don't know how to deal with their wives. No. I mean, these people were so stirred up. And a few minutes later, the guy came in and said, your car is ready, sir. And so I just left them upset. I'm like, see you later. See you later. But, and the reason I say that because women need to learn to accept the truth about themselves just as men need to learn to do it. You can't solve a problem by working with half of the problem. You have to deal with men and women to get this thing right, because we all have roles in life and we all play a part. And unless you fix the whole body, it's not going to do any good to work on half of the body. And so we got to start working on women and being honest about it. I remember, in talking about the role of mothers, I remember growing up in Alabama on a plantation when the laws were against us, and the black women of those days were, for the most part, noble women. And I say black women because that's all I was around for the most part. We were not allowed to hang out with white Americans at the time. But I remember my grandmother and my mother, they were trying to set examples for the other women, the young girls in the home. If they were doing things that were wrong or out of order, you didn't even know about it. It wasn't bragged about, it wasn't flaunted around as though it was something good. They would try to teach the young girls how to be, prepare them to become, good wives, become women who are able to take care of themselves, I remember that my grandmother used to teach my aunt and them how to cook, how to sew, how to be moderate in when they go out shopping and do stuff like that. That's not being taught to young girls today by mothers. And that is the role of the mother, to teach their daughters by example, preparing them to become women, to overcome being a female and to become a woman. And a woman is prepared She's being prepared for her husband. Because the ultimate goal of a young woman, young girl, is to become a woman and get married and have her family. And I know in today's society, they say, oh, I don't care about being married. But women do care about being married. They do. They feel that way when they're young, but once they become old, bodies are falling apart, life is over, they want a husband. And that is in the nature of a woman to want a husband. And her mother have a responsibility to set that example. There's nothing more refreshing for a man, a husband, is to have a good wife, a wife that he can be pleased with, a wife that when he leaves home, he knows that she's going to set that good example to his children. She's going to prepare the home for him and have things taken care of around the home. She's like the vice president, and you shouldn't have to worry when you leave home that your vice president will not carry out your orders. But instead, mothers are teaching young girls today to be like men. You don't have to learn to cook. These young guys who are dating now, the girls that they're dating know nothing about housekeeping. They're dirty and worse than the boy is. And that's not normal. That's not going to bring unity between men and women. Young mothers are supposed to teach their daughters to love their fathers. Love your father. Even if your father happened, God forbid, to be a drunk, even if he's a bum, she still say, don't talk about your father like that. Love your father. He can't help himself. And the reason they used to do it because they understood, exceptions to the rule, all mothers would do this, but for the most part, in the good old days, they understood if that daughter hated her father, she's going to end up with a man just like her father. The women understood that in that day. And so they may have some issues with the husband, but they would not pass it down for the most part to their daughters or to their sons. They would tell their sons, love your father. Don't talk about your father like that. Respect your father. Now, they weren't in denial about the kind of man that he was, but they knew not to pass it down to their daughters because they didn't want them to end up with men just like that. And we become attracted to the thing that we hate the most. You hate a drunk, you're going to marry a drunk, or date a drunk. Another thing that mothers used to do is teach their daughters not to have sex before marriage. They would say, don't have sex before marriage because a man is not going to want a woman that already has sex, that's been with everybody already. He's not going to respect you. I used to hear that all the time. Anybody else used to hear that? Yeah, I used to hear that. Don't do it. Now, all girls didn't obey that, of course, but at least the mother was doing her role as a righteous woman to try to teach that to her daughters because they wanted the best possible man that the daughters could get. And one thing I can absolutely tell you for sure, and without a doubt, and not all, but most, real close to not all, most men, 99.9, or not 99.9, but most men want to marry a woman that has not been with another man. And the reason for it, because when he's dating her and chasing her, there's an excitement in that. The courtship is even better. And it leaves something to look forward to, and you don't see your wife as you would see. Forgive me for this word, because I haven't heard this word in a long time, so I don't know if it's still popular. The word whore. Is that still popular? I don't hear that word anymore. Is that a popular word now? I can't hear you.
It's not popular.
They don't say it out loud, they just think it, right?
They just show in Hollywood.
They what?
No, the young people say garden tool.
Oh, garden tool. That mean whore?
Not or, not with the O-R, the R-O, whatever.
Oh, hoe.
H-O-E.
Oh, hoe. Oh, okay. Well, hoe. Mothers would know that that's how boys or men would see their daughters, as hoes. And today it still exists. Even though the mothers are teaching their daughters, you can act like the boy, you can do what you want, sleep around, have fun, and the guys are like, right on, I like that idea. But when these guys are talking about the girls behind closed doors, they call them hoes. I still hear from the young guys today, And some are even here, but I'm not going to point them out. So you guys don't have to hide behind anyone. And that is because in reality, we all know right from wrong. We know right from wrong. Now we'll go along with wrong in order to get what we want, but we know right from wrong. So in our hearts, we want to marry the best woman possible for our children. And just like women want the same thing too. They do want the best man, but they've been told that you can act like a man, sleep around, get a job, and all that kind of stuff. So they're acting like boys, setting themselves up to fail in life. That's what's going to happen, because after they get older, your body starts to crack down and you realize there is life and death. You want to settle down and have a life for yourself. You really do. You start to want to settle down. And mothers have a responsibility to prepare their daughters and sons for that time when they grow of age and they're ready to settle down. They have carried themselves in such a manner that they're attracted to a decent man. And it's not an ego thing. It doesn't mean the man is better. It's a spiritual order. There's God said that we should do everything in moderation. And character is the way that we should go. That prepares us for a long life and a good life. Also, when mothers would teach their sons and daughters to love their fathers, they knew, because they were, for the most part, they believed in God. They knew that if they loved their fathers and mothers, that they would have a long life. When you love your parents, you can live forever. But when you hate your parents, when you're resentful because they have failed you, you die early. You absolutely die early. Even if you don't die physically early, you die in the spirit early, and so you're just a walking dead. Just a walking dead. No life. Out there looking for love. And mothers knew that at one time. And so I say all this to say that mothers have a awesome responsibility to be a good vice president, to be a good wife, because the kids are at home with them for the most part, and the way that they love and treat their husbands is the way that the kids are going to treat their parents. If they see that order of God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children, the man loved Christ, and the wife loved the husband who loved Christ, then she's going to pass that love down to him, and the children will grow up having a better chance of living. There are so many miserable girls and boys now because of the type of mothers that they have had. Really. We fathers, of course, but this is not Father's Day. This is Mother's Day. And we're dealing with mothers. So I hear a lot of women's brains right now. Why are you not talking about the man? It's the woman's day. And I want to just be honest with you, because I like to see that change come about. We talked to Kenya earlier. Her parents set a good example for them. She's going to end up marrying a good man. She's going to marry a good man. Fresh start. No children. Nobody that's already been married. Who want a used car? You know what I mean?
All right, now, Jesse.
Wouldn't we all prefer a new car? Because when you get a used car, all you're doing is buying somebody else's trouble. Now, I know a lot of you believe in used cars. I don't. I believe, how about a used car with no miles? Low miles, huh? Low miles. I believe that you should save your money, work hard, save your money, and then buy a new car so that all the troubles you have are your own troubles. You're not repairing somebody else's troubles, right? Well, that's how it is when you marry a used girl, a used woman. You're just adding with somebody else's trouble. She already hated the last man that you were with. She hated all the men that took advantage of her. And here you come along, decent man, and you're trying to do what's right, but this girl is mad at every man in her life, including her father, and you wonder, how did I end? I'm doing the right thing, but she can't see that because she's angry at men because her mother did not set that proper standard for her. That makes sense? Yes, sir. Anybody disagree with that? I'm telling you, God wants us to have a fresh start in life. Everything is new. When you're born again, old things have passed away and all things are new. When you start your family, And I don't want to make you guys feel bad. I see some women looking pretty sad right now. Well, forget about, don't hold on to this stuff. But when you get married, you want a fresh start. All your troubles are the troubles that you and your husband are bringing in, not something left over from the last marriage or from some, the fifth man boy that she just broke up with. You want a fresh start, and that is the way it should be. Absolutely the way it should be. But we're so confused with the secular world around us that righteous people have allowed these wrong ideas to come in. We teach our girls now it's okay to have sex, okay to wear short, skimpy dresses. Even in the way that girls dress today is a disgrace, to be honest. There's nothing attractive by it at all. And when guys look at girls now, they do not see a woman and say, you know what, that's a pretty woman, but I would like to know how smart she is. I would like to know her character. I would like to meet her parents. They're looking at this beautiful woman and thinking, sex, sex, sex. That's all they're thinking about. And she up there with the dress, around her waist, little halter top thing on, selling herself like that. There has to be some moderation. And it's up to mothers to teach that to the children. That is the responsibility of a mother in the home, to set that tone, to be a moderation, so that the girl can love her mother and pattern after the mother. The kids would do what the mothers do. They really will. They'll follow that. If you are that example, they will follow it. Now, they're going to rebel a little bit, but they will follow that example. But if you allow them to do what they want to do, just buy them these clothes and let them look like little, what is it called, hoes? Little hoes, hoochies, that's what it's going to be. And no proud father or mother want their daughters to present themselves in that manner. The Bible talks about how a daughter can bring shame to her father. That brings shame. When fathers see daughters acting that way, they are not proud of it. Now, they may be too weak or afraid to do anything about it, but they feel a sense of shame about it when they see it. But when they're moderate in their personality and the way they do things, it brings proud honor to the father and to the mother. And especially to the mother, because the daughter is patterning after the mother. If you want to see what the mother is like, just look at the daughter. So we got to restore these values as men and women of God. Now, I understand if you're secular, you don't believe in God, you're expected to be wild and out of control and compete with men. Women do not have to compete with men. That's another thing the mother would teach the daughter. It's better to be a woman than it is to be a man if you're a woman. So why compete with the man? Be the best woman you can be, and that's where your love and power is, in being the best woman. You don't have to be macho. There are too many, have you noticed there are too many macho women? Don't nobody want a macho woman. They want a soft, feminine, beautiful woman. And I don't necessarily mean beauty in physical necessarily, but in spirit, in character. The character of a woman, a beautiful woman, the character of a woman outshines her physical look. Did you guys know that? But these women get up in the morning, they put on truckloads of makeup, and they spend 8 hours in the bathroom, and that don't even matter to the man. He's looking at a simple woman, a woman of simplicity, not a, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I haven't heard this kind of message in a long time. One other thing I want to say, I made a note here. Mothers are to prepare their daughters to become women, and but most importantly, do all things in moderation. All things in moderation. Save yourself until marriage. It's good for the spirit. Some of the most unhappy girls walking the streets today are those who have had sex before marriage. They can't find a man, they can't trust men, they're emotionally destroyed, and it's because their mothers have not taught them to do all things in moderation. Wait. Sex is not love. There's nothing wrong with getting a good education. You may not end up with a man, but get a good education, but still hold on to your womanhood. Hold on to your character, because that's what's going to outshine your education. Some of the hardest women to live with today are educated women. And especially when they got double masters and PhDs, you may well forget it. It's not, and then even those women with all of their ego, with all of their anger, want to be married. They end up wanting to be married. They wish that they had done things a little differently, that their mothers had taught them better, because they still end up wanting a family. Within all of us, for the most part, everybody wants a nice family. Don't you just love a nice family? There's nothing like going for a husband to come home at 5 o'clock and his lovely wife is there with his kids. And she's happy about being there, not griping and complaining, you've been out working all day. How do you expect me to be happy when you get home? Nobody want to go home to that. But if you had peace within yourself and if you didn't hate being a woman, you would love being a wife and a mother. Absolutely love it. Stephanie, you have a question?
Yeah, I was going to say, because I have relatives in France, they all have, but some have babies already. My question is, can you turn around? Can you turn your life around and then find another chance?
Can you turn your life around if you already had children or dated around? Absolutely. God said that all old things have passed away and things are new. When you can realize that you were wrong, you couldn't see what you were doing, and then forgive yourself for it, let it go, a brand new start just like that. You start to develop this character because you enter into the kingdom of heaven. You enter into love, which is God within you, and your whole life starts to change, and it seems as though you never had a past. Yeah.
You guys will recognize that?
The guys will recognize it. Absolutely recognize it. And when you're that way, they will not approach you in the same way that they will approach a loose woman. Really. As a matter of fact, they would treat you better because they would love to be married to you. They would love for you to be the mother to their children. So even if they're going to cheat around, they'll treat you better until you get married, but they'll go and mess around with the hoe, the loose woman. Can I say hoe, Scott? You're the lawyer now. Let me just say something about words. I am so sorry that we have taken those words and put them to the side. Words like hoe and whatever they call men and stuff like that, because those words were set up to bring shame to when we do wrong. Those words were intentionally put there to remind us in a physical way that we're wrong in what we're doing. And when a word can cause you to feel a sense of shame, you tend to try to change that. But if you have no words to remind you that you're wrong, and you're not the type of person to admit you're wrong, you have nothing to change your life. Everything is all beauty and softened up. We should not have gotten rid of that word. That's a good word to remind us when we're wrong. And we need to bring that back, but Christians are afraid to do it, and the world is definitely not going to do it. And most women don't want to hear that they're wrong, so they're not going to bring it back. We have to bring words back to remind us of being wrong. Words like sin, words like hate. People don't even want to admit that they hate one another. Oh, I don't hate her. Do you resent her? Yeah, I resent. But resentment is the same spirit. It causes the same problem. Mothers have an awesome responsibility. It is more than a notion to raise children. It really is. It's a major job. But when you do it in the right way, under the umbrella of marriage, loving what's right more than anything else, loving your husband, respecting your husband, being honest with him, but loving him, and you pass it down to your children, and when they grow of age and you can see what you have created with the help of God, there's nothing more prideful, there's nothing that brings more joy than seeing your kids do well in life. It brings everlasting joy. And even when you're dead and gone, it lives on. It shines like the light because of what you have done. We got to turn this thing around. We got to come back to what is right. The way that women are living today is not good. It's leading to destruction. It has to come back. If we don't do it, we're in trouble. And women used to be ashamed to do certain things. We have to bring that shame back. And that's what God intended for it to be, and it could become that way just like that as soon as you realize that you're wrong. Any questions for me? Anybody disagree with that? Everybody agree? Yes, sir.
I was saying, like you said, the mothers should teach their daughters. Also, like mothers, they could talk with
Yes. The mothers have to do it, right? Yeah. They can't just say it, they have to be it. I mean, you can say it all day long, and a lot of mothers do say, you know, don't do what I do what I say. That doesn't work. You have to be that living example, because if you notice with Christ, he was a living example of what we should be. You know, he didn't just hang out in some church and preach from the pulpit. He went out there and dealt with the folks. He was honest and straight up with people. He wasn't on welfare, as far as I know. Was he on welfare? Because I don't know how he ate with no job. Oh, I think they took up donations along the way. Thank you, Sherry. But a living example is more powerful than words itself. Really, because love is coming out of you. What is right is shining through you, and that's what the kids see. Yeah, that makes sense? Yeah.
You know, that's why I saw my mother. She's from the old school.
Yeah.
She taught us that stuff. And like, you have the temptation, you want to do what your parents are doing, but, because I used to think, like, I wish my mother was doing it so I can do it. You know?
Yeah.
But she wasn't. So she could talk and all she wanted, but she was doing, and I probably would have done it too.
That's right. My grandmother raised me, and she wasn't married, but she lived a noble life. You know, she had some flaws. She spoiled me and kind of messed me up a little bit here, but whatever she was doing that was wrong, I don't even know about it. You know, I don't know about it. And then so when I became a teenager, when I started dating, there were things that I was doing she doesn't know about it, because I respected her. And I respected the girl that I was dating. You know, now the ones I didn't care about, you don't respect those, right? But the ones you care about, the decent girls, the decent girl, you respected her and her family. You know, they were when I was growing up, you would have to go to the house to meet the parents in order to date the girls. Did you guys know that? You ever done that, Don? You're 19, right? The girls that you date, you ever gone to her house, she said, well, you're going to have to meet my father and mother in order for me to date you?
Yeah, we said that.
So, have you gone through that, Derek?
No,
You have not met the parents, huh?
in different ways, not like that.
And nowadays, and this is the truth, nowadays when I hear guys saying, well, if a girl want the guy to go meet the parent, they would say, nah, why do I need to meet your parents? I'm not going to marry you. I hear that a lot. Even with some of the guys that we're dealing with, I won't call no name, they have a certain respect for me, and if they meet a girl, they would bring her to meet me because they respect this girl, and they want to see what I think about her too. But those girls that they don't respect, I never see them. I just hear about them, and it's not a pretty picture. So we got to return to nobility. We got to return to what is right. And the mothers have a responsibility to carry that on as it's been passed down through the father to her. And even if you're not married, you can repent, as Stephanie talked about. You can say, you know what, I was wrong. I should not have done this out of wedlock. I'm wrong. And you start to change, then you can pass it down to your children as well. Yes, ma'am.
Also control the television, because what I see the teenagers nowadays, even the small ones, they just plain trash.
Yeah. And see, that's what mothers would do. They would protect their children from TV, certain types of TV and all that. They won't say, oh, let them do it. They're going to do it anyway. What kind of mother would say that about her children? Oh, they're going to do it anyway, so they may well do it at home. Nowadays, some mothers are allowing their boys and girls to have sex in the home with them there. And so, mother, why are you allowing this to happen? Well, they're going to do it anyway, so I figure instead of doing it in a car, they should be here with me. I'm like, you're an insane person. That's not love. You don't love your children when you do that. You absolutely don't love your kids when you allow that to happen. And you're going to pay a price for that. You're going to suffer for that because you're not guiding them in the right way to go. I saw another hand somewhere. I forgot. Yes, Susan.
I was just going to say my mom was a hypocrite. That was Stephanie was saying. She spoke one way and did another thing.
Yeah.
I remember being very little and seeing that she was, that's really a temptation to hate her.
Yeah. So you resent
anything
it?
that came, anything good that came out of her, I resented hearing, you know.
Yeah, you resented your mother, so if she did say something good, you resented the good.
Yeah, she had good advice sometimes, but I couldn't take it. And I think my own kids are like that. You
Of
know,
course.
They're changing now, but they couldn't listen to me for a long time.
Yeah, your mother passed it on to you, you pass it on to your children. I'm telling you, and we need to talk about this because I want mothers to understand the impact that they have on their children. It's not just the father. The father's not around most of the time. He's at work or at the bar or with another woman. It's the mother that are impacting these children in that way, you know. And so they need to understand that if they don't have love, they're going to pass down hate. And they're setting their daughters up to suffer in life, to be used. Because that's all, not all, but most guys do. They just use women for their pleasure. Not all of them, but most do. And women are allowing themselves to use. I remember growing up in the good old days, most girls would not allow you to use them. They would say, no, if you want to do that, you're going to have to marry me. You know, and if you didn't want to get married, you're like, okay, bye. That's how it used to work in the good old days when we knew right from wrong. Yes, ma'am. How many people resent their mothers today? You resent your mothers? Men and women. There you go. Don't be scared. Why do you... It's going away? Why do you resent her?
Well, she had so many flaws, and I was thinking just now of what some other people were saying. My mom has a lot of flaws. Her mom did, and her mom used her in a lot of ways. So what I realized is that I became comfortable around her because of her flaws. So I could judge her. And there was a comfort zone in knowing that she had flaws and that it was like a self-righteous thing, that I was better. So it even fueled like a certain intelligence and a certain energy and clarity I had that I would lose when I would go be around people that I didn't know, like in public places. And like right now, I'm not as sure as myself as I would be in that comfort zone of my family, which I could see all their flaws. And I think then I gravitated towards people that they had the flaws too. It did give me that sense of identity within myself that was really rooted in this anger and frustration. And now it's like I tell my little brother who's going through this, he's quite a bit younger, he's going through the motions of trying to find himself. And I do talk to him, I said, oh, that's it. Because I noticed this pattern with my brothers, and it's like strangers intimidate us.
Yeah.
But so that's just an insight I had with my own family and how that all relates. But and I think I found women that were flawed, and then I would, in my own twisted way, use them through finding that ego gratification.
That's right.
So.
And they're waiting to service you too.
Oh yeah.
But if their mothers had taught them properly, and a person like you came along, those women would resist you. You know, they'll tell you the truth about it, but they would not allow you to use them because they have come from a place of love instead of a place of hate. And love causes you to respect yourself and others.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what to do. Exactly. I was confronted with that, and I just behaved like a buffoon because I wouldn't know what to do. And I resent that, and then I was further lost in this conundrum of just pride.
So is your mother still living?
Yeah.
And have you dealt with her about this yet?
Yeah, and I feel like my resentment, I raised my hand on the resentment topic, but I feel like, I have to admit that it's probably still there because I don't feel completely, secure with myself. But I've made a lot of grounds, and my mom is, she's still around, and I probably won't even call her today, but I always welcome her to call me.
Why won't you call her?
Just because I feel like this Mother's Day thing is a day it's an outside influence dictating that would dictate what my relationship with my mother would be, because I feel like I have the relationship already, and we get at standstills where she does so many she lies about me, and when I try to help her, she doesn't want help. Like I confront people who aren't good to her, but she wants those she wants to keep those issues alive and live a life of lies.
Right.
And so, and then she defeats me and makes me look bad. You know, she degrades me, and I let her know, and so even like, I'm not gonna go over, I think Mother's Day is sort of a trite issue, or even wrong in the circumstance to make that connection when I want a deeper connection. Does that make sense?
Let me do this before I give you my response to that. I want to ask Kenya, what should he do with his mother on Mother's Day? Do you agree with the way he's dealing with her?
No, because he's being spiteful, essentially, what it sounds like. I mean, I don't know your situation, so please don't. But I'm not trying to, but there's obviously issues there, and the idea of glorifying or celebrating his mother obviously angers him to the point where he doesn't want to do it.
Right.
So he has to show her, in her behavior, he has to show her patience and love, and then he can kind of get rid of the resentment he's got for her, and that he wouldn't be as put off or offended at the idea of celebrating her or acknowledging what she did do for him.
Do you agree with that, Melissa?
Yeah.
And why?
I think it's not a big deal to call your mothers on Mother's Day. To try to not do that, I think he has some kind of resentment.
Let me ask you guys, what should he do on Mother's Day with her mother? You just heard his story.
Yeah, I think he should call his mom. I think he's unfortunately suffering a little bit from what I call backlash, sort of trying to go the opposite way where you had an unhealthy relationship with your mom previously. Now you're kind of saying, well, you know, I should appreciate my mom every other day, what makes Mother's Day special, and I'm just not going to do it because I'm not going to sort of fit into what society says, and that's just really your mind kind of playing with you. And you know, the commandments are to respect your mother and father, even if they did wrong to you, because when you show them love, you're showing God love. So,
who don't think that he should go to deal with his mother on celebration, on Mother's Day? Anybody think that he should not do it? Oh, all you holy people up here today, huh? Everybody love their mama today. I agree. I think that you're making an awful mistake. And let me tell you why. Yes, your mother's insane. You know, she's out to lunch. She's on hold. But as a man, especially as a man of God, you have a responsibility to deal with that by shining some light on it. Now, you already know she's insane. She can't help it. I mean, hopefully you know that. You don't seem to know that. But your mother cannot help herself. Her mother has done it to her, and she's done it to you. But if you know what's right, then you need to go back and shine some light on it. Meaning that today is a day of celebration, appreciation, and we tend to do that in this country. We show people that we appreciate them on birthdays, and Mother's Day and Father's Day, Alcoholic Day, you know. We show the drunks that we're glad you're not drinking today, you know. It's just an outward expression of an appreciation. So I would personally, first of all, not today, but at some point I'll go to my mother and deal with her. Let her know I resented her, tell her why. And then if you could realize that you can't help yourself for the things that you do, it will help you to understand that she could not help herself. So you don't have to pretend around her, but you could go and just be a good son to her today. You know, you can, you know, Mom, we haven't always gotten along, but I appreciate you. I'm glad you're my mother. You know, just something, show some love, and that could cause conflict and cause her to change. Because the light is brighter and more powerful than the darkness is. And so it's a test of love that you should express to her. You don't need her to love you. You need to love her because she's not had anyone to love her.
Yeah, I appreciate all the words, and I understand that.
And you don't have to
I
hang
want
out
to be
there all
corrected
day.
if I'm wrong, you know. But doesn't there come a time when you try, not necessarily try, but you give love and you're as clear as possible, and then it just doesn't get anywhere, and so sometimes it's better to show the distance and just let them know that, you know, there's a divide there, and you welcome them.
And you can do
come
that.
over and own up to their issues when you've been clear enough and calm enough in expressing that.
Yeah. But see, right now you're not in a position to do that because you still have resentment for her. And so your decisions are made on how you feel. For example, you said, well, Mother's Day is overblown, everybody's all into it, and that's an excuse, right? Yes, it's overblown, but that has nothing to do with you and your expression of love toward your mother. Now, you can go there and have some you don't have to hang out all day. Just go have some fried chicken and greens and say, I'll see you later. Thanks, Mother, I'm glad you're around, the food was good. You don't have to hang out. They don't have to see you until another Mother's Day. But the point is, you need to do what you do in freedom and not in anger, where you're being controlled by your emotions.
Right.
My folks don't like me. But I go there, I'm not going over there today because I'm going somewhere else, but I go over there and have some chicken and green and candy yam. We'll argue and I'll leave. And they won't see me for another whenever. Because I'm in control, I'm being guided by what is right. I'm a free person now. And so I don't have to operate that way. They may still feel that way, but I don't feel that way. And that's what real love is. It frees you up to deal with the world around you instead of being controlled by it. Right now you're being controlled by it. But I will pop in and say, you know what, Mother, you're still mean and angry, but I love you. I hope one day you overcome that. My mother and I had to work that out too. And it got to a point that my mother would call me up to ask me to help her deal with the other children. And I would send her money, from California to Indiana. But if I had, not forgiven her or said that I did and stayed away from her, I would not have been of any good to her. My mother and my father realized that they hated one another, and they finally called each other and worked it out because of me, because of what I did with them. You know what I mean when I say because of me. Now, if I had stayed away from them and I'm just going to punish them, and not letting them see me, then there would have been no light shining in there so they can look at themselves. Now, I'm not saying you have to hang out all the time. You don't have to agree with them, but you have to be free enough to deal with them properly and in the right time. What do you think about that?
Just say yes, man.
No. I want him to say what he really feels in his heart.
Well, okay. A part of just a part of the shakiness I have. I just want to make it clear here. I've always had fear of speaking up in front of people. So
yeah.
I don't think this.
And all that's coming from your anger too.
Yeah. I'd see that. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I can grow and do that.
You can grow and do that? What do you mean?
Well, I can. I still have to. There's this point about how much is enough, and is it enabling them? Well, okay. Let me put it this way. The history of my family is get together, and I think this is common. Get together on the holidays.
Yeah.
And the feeling I get from it is okay. Tell your friends that you got together, but then friends are more important than family, and it's almost like reassuring to them. And I could, like this gentleman said, this could be that backlash, but I feel like it supports their egos just to know that okay, we're good enough.
Good enough for what?
They use me just to. My presence to show up, it just enables them to tell that makes them feel okay about what they've done. I don't know, I guess I'm not.
How long are you talking about?
Huh?
Let me see.
Yeah.
You think that you're so wonderful that when you're there, they feel good about themselves?
No, he's saying the image of his family, like the image to tell people, oh, we're all together. Yeah, like we're okay. Look, we have the picture perfect thing.
Oh, I see.
Like
so you're saying that.
Thank you.
Oh, I see. So you're saying that when you're there, it gives an impression to the world that the family is tight.
And even to themselves, they feel like it's like it relieves them of a certain guilt. that they have in neglecting, you
What's wrong with
know,
themselves.
the moment themselves and being decent to each other.
Well, how did you come up with that?
Well, I just, through my experience with them, I've noticed that.
And so they act that way, but you're not sure that's how they feel.
I'm almost, you know, to tell you the truth, I feel like that is, to my best understanding, I feel that that is the way it works.
Let me tell you this, and I understand what you're saying now. Now, when I go to my family house, especially folks that live here in California, and everybody's over, I'm all alone. And so I go in there, hey y'all, how y'all doing? When is the food gonna be ready? And they ask me one question, I tell the truth, and it's over. We battle out. We go to war, and I'm the only one there that's standing by myself, right? But I have so much fun with that. And as soon as I'm full and okay, see you. I gotta go. I'm going over to some of the Bond folks' house, you know, because I've had fun with them because I understand that they can't help themselves. So I don't pretend that everything is fine, but I don't deliberately, you know, bring up stuff. But if they ask me a question, it's gone. It's gonna happen. It's on, man. And so you need to enjoy it like that. You don't have to pretend with them. You know, that's what Christ did. He went into the midst of the folks who were pretending. Oh, I love you, Jesus. Jesus like, yeah, right. And all hell break loose. But he's okay with it because he want to bring it out of them. You know, he want to reveal what is hidden. And that's your job to do that. And somebody in my family, I remember one of my cousins, I think he's like 20 years old now. We were over there arguing one day with everybody. He's like, they call me Punchy. He's like, Punchy, you're so strong. I said, what do you mean? He says, it's amazing how when you come over here, you can deal with all of us. And so I'm setting an example for him, not even realizing it. You know, because he's seeing it. I'm not angry. I laugh and play and just have fun and get some of the best meals. Hey, you know how mama can cook, right? You're missing out, man.
I don't want to give the impression that I totally alienate myself or that
I'm
trying to punish them because I tell everyone in my family, you can call me whenever you want. You can call me at 3 in the morning and I'm happy to talk to you. As long as we get on a certain level.
No, you can't.
That's not right. You don't think
that's insane. You can't. You're right. Conversation can be boring with people. Boring with people who do not have insight. But you could call your mother and say, "Hey, Mom, how you doing today?" "Oh, life is bad. That old man had a drink last night." And you say, "You know, Mom, you need to stop hating him. You know, you should be affected by what Dad do. It's just that you hate the man. I'm just checking on you to see how you're doing, and leave it alone." And she may think about that. God will give you things to say to her. But you're showing, as he said, you're showing respect to your parents. They don't have to be perfect. You just need to love them. Because you're not perfect. And so, but you are on your way to perfection. You're being changed all the time, being made whole. You have a responsibility to shine some light on those who can't see. You just can't keep it to yourself. Now again, I'm not saying you should hang out with them, you know, all that kind of stuff. See them whenever you want to. But as a free man. What do you think about that?
I couldn't disagree with that. And I do that. But like you said, I'm becoming a better me. I'm becoming more of an individual, a stronger person and a more loving person.
Yeah.
And I have my flaws, and I have to go through the process and make my mistakes and suffer through the way.
Yeah.
And see my faults. So
sometimes they'll bring that out. I remember once I was over there and I just became bored with them. I'm like, why am I hanging out over here with you guys? You guys are so boring. There's nothing new about you. See you. And just left. You know? And they're like, what? So, but you got to be that free man so you can show love to them. You really do. Now, I don't know all of your situations, so I'm not telling you to go back into it until you can see that's the right thing to do, because I don't know all the details. So I don't want you to go over there, they beat you up today or something, you know?
No. I'm gonna do what I think is right.
Yeah. My wife
But I
is mean.
appreciate the insight, you know,
Does it
from
make
everybody
sense?
that's commented on mine.
Yeah. Does it make sense what I'm saying or no?
I get what you're saying completely.
Yeah.
I just, you know, I also know that I've often done the right thing.
Right.
And I've just gotten walls and
that's beautiful.
And they're saying to me, don't come around, or, you know.
Oh, they tell you not to come around?
They're not strong enough to say that directly. But, you know, when I suggest let's go get a cup of coffee, and I grew up in Santa Monica, not, you know, the old Santa Monica wasn't always what it is now, but,
right.
But you know, I hear things like, well, coffee's expensive these days. So I'm like, okay, but, you know, there's your, you know, I hear what you're saying, and you know, I have plenty to do with my own life, a lot to do, so I'm going to focus on that.
Yeah, I wouldn't impose myself on them, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But if they don't mind you coming over for whatever reason, and if you want to go, I would go.
Yeah, they want me to come over, and I hear what you're saying, and I think I will do that. I will make more of a point of making myself more of a presence there.
Yeah, and be honest with them when you're there. Don't pretend like things are well. You know, just tell the truth, but don't beat them up with it either.
They're a tricky bunch, though. That's the thing. You know, I don't want to, because I know what you're saying,
Yeah.
and you know, but I'm also a tricky person too. So you know, I want to stay objective to all this stuff, but
Right.
they're a tricky bunch,
Yeah.
and I believe that
I understand.
I dealt very lovingly with them.
Yeah.
And so for the sake of reality, is I know it's the only thing I'm going to know. You know, it really is a moment by moment thing
Yeah.
here, and I'm still not convinced that calling my mom on Mother's Day right now and saying hello, and even but you're right. You know, I was having a conversation with a black friend of mine, and he said that he doesn't celebrate the Thanksgiving because he thinks America is based on has done horrible things, and he's not going to play into it. And my thought was like exactly what you're saying with my mom on Mother's Day, and I'm seeing that.
Yeah.
You honor your mom,
Yeah.
or you honor your parents, and maybe it's a ceremonial reminder
Right.
of that point. And so in that way,
You're right.
I see the correlation. You know?
Your black friend is being controlled by his outer environment. He thinks he's right about it.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't even recognize that America has changed, and black folks are free, so you can eat turkey on Thanksgiving Day, no matter what the reason is.
In my own personal level, that's me in my own.
Yeah.
So anyhow,
Yeah. Yeah. It got to happen within you and with you. You got to overcome the world around you. You know, I'm a free man. I can, and I don't like, and I can tolerate it, but I don't like boring conversation. You know, you talk to some people, they're not talking about anything. I'm like, why did I waste my time with that? But I learned from it. You know, and so you gotta learn, but you gotta be the light because God is in you, and He wants you to reach out to others to help them. Be honest with them. Don't go along with the okey-doke, but don't resent them for who they are, what they are. Because remember, you used to be that way at one time too. And then somebody helped you through it. And you owe it to that. You know, God is always forgiving us for our weakness. You know, He's not sitting around thinking, you know what, I'm not going to lunch with John anymore. He's just too weak. He hated his mother. You know, God is always with you because He loves you in spite of what you are. But He's honest with you too. And He'll allow you to suffer. But He still loves you. And that's how you have to treat your mother. That makes sense?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's your job, especially as a man, because of who you represent. You realize you represent Christ on earth. God is in you and you represent Him. So you have to be a good representation of that. A long story short, I had a guy to come in this week for counseling, and he was telling me about his new girlfriend. Like, oh, I met this new girl. I really like her. She's so demanding. She gets things done. I mean, I see her at work, and she controls the job, and I just love her. she's so open and honest, and I just love her. I said, oh yeah, and we went on with the conversation, and then he said, you know what? As I'm telling you this, I realize I'm dating my mama. He said, my mother's just like that, and I hate her for that. And she's just like my mother. I didn't realize it until right now. I said, okay, you can go home now. Pay the cashier and go home. You got the answer. When you resent your mother, you're going to be attracted to women just like mother. You're not going to get away from it. Yeah, you're not going to get away from it. So, and you don't want to marry mama, believe me. Yes, ma'am. Mecca, you had your hand right? Yeah.
I was just going to say, it was kind of a long time ago. He said something about his mom coming, like him leaving the door open for his mom to come to him and own up to everything or whatever. And I was just going to say, you should maybe be careful that it's not your ego involved in this whole situation, just because it sounds to me like you're expecting something from her as opposed to just showing her love unconditionally. And she may come to you and she may not, but that it's not really the point of whether she ever owns up to anything. Yeah. And it's just for you to be loving with her, and maybe that'll have her reflect on something, and she may not ever say it to you, but you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe just don't put that element of expectation on it, because you maybe.
And again, love is not mushy. I don't mean that kind of love. I just mean non-judgmental. Just have no judgment in your heart of anyone. Then you can love your mother. But you got to be free, and then you can do it. Yeah. Let me ask Mecca a question, then I come here, then here. Have you forgiven your mother?
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Yes.
How about your father?
Yes.
Well, it's not Father Day, we're doing the mother. What did you have to forgive her for?
I had to forgive her for, we actually talked about this probably a month ago or so when we came out of a meeting. I told her that a lot of my life I resented her because she sort of always had this like I'm not enough thing, or I'm not good enough. You know what I'm saying? Like within herself.
Yeah,
and
that
she
is
showed
so
that
true
to
about
me
your
a
mother.
lot, like my whole life, and gave it to me. You know what I mean? And so I forgave her for that because I realized, like, you know, in that moment when we were having that conversation, like I really, I hate to sound weird, but like my oneness with her, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
my oneness. Yeah, we'll have a deep conversation.
And I really got that I had been struggling to overcome that, and I got that she was struggling to overcome the same thing, and she really couldn't help but to give that to me because it was just what was within her. But
That's
she didn't
right.
want it any more than I wanted it.
Yeah.
You know? So that was a big thing because I felt like I struggled with that my whole life.
Not feeling
like
enough.
I was enough. Like
Yeah.
always feeling like it wasn't enough, or I wasn't enough. And
Yeah.
so, and I don't feel that way anymore.
Good.
But I definitely feel a different relationship with her now. I don't know if it's as a result of that. Maybe it is, but I'm not.
That's very good. Right on. Because the one thing about forgiving your mothers, you can then get along with them. They can still be insecure, not feeling good enough, but you feel good about yourself now.
Yeah.
And you have compassion for her when you're around her.
Right. Yeah.
But you're not afraid, you're not restricted.
Exactly.
You can just be yourself.
Exactly, yeah.
And you don't even feel sorry for her.
Right.
You just see you got a mother who is insecure and doesn't realize she's fine because she has not let her anger go. But you're comfortable around her. Mm-hmm. And that is a beautiful way of living,
Yeah,
a way of
it
living.
is.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Absolutely nice. Do you still feel that you're not good enough right now? That's her mother, folks. No. You feel like you're something else now?
Yeah, something else. I don't know.
Do you feel better about yourself?
I do, yes.
You have confidence now?
Yeah, I feel fine. I don't have to be over or under or anything like that. I'm just
Over, under what?
overly confident or under.
Oh. Does she feel comfortable with herself now, Mecca?
I think that she does.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I still sometimes hear her like say little things. Sometimes I kind of like play herself down, and
Yeah.
a lot of times when I was growing up, it was a lot of like comparison to like my dad and stuff like that. Like, oh, well, you know, your dad so this, and I'm just it. And when I do hear her say that, I'll say something about it. But I definitely don't feel, I guess because there's no resentment there, I don't feel any like attachment to that.
Right.
But it definitely makes has made our relationship like so many times better. So.
Wow. And now you can love your mother.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Are you the same way with her, your mother?
No.
They're sisters, and that's the same old mean mother there.
Well, we had, I think, probably a different issue because I think my mom always thought that I was more similar to my father.
Yeah.
I was always a very independent child and never really, and so I think in that I don't think I got as much of her insecurities because she didn't necessarily identify with me. Like she didn't see her in me. I think she saw my father in me. Was
this hard on you though?
No, well, it's in actually kind of a back way. It made her have higher expectations of me, so I couldn't get away with the same thing that maybe my siblings get away with because she didn't have that. She didn't put that on me. She's like, well, Kenya doesn't have that in her, so she shouldn't be allowed to. I was held to a higher standard, I think, a lot of times.
Did you like that at the time, or you thought she loved the others more than you?
I thought it was fine. I didn't have a problem with it. It frustrated me because I had to take ownership of their issues that I didn't do when I was a kid. Like, I could be as responsible as possible, but it was still my fault because Kenya, you know, it's easier for her, or she's not like that, or she's more independent, or something like that. Whatever those things were. Yeah. But I think when that happened, I was like, hey, you know, I didn't do this, and you guys, and both her and my dad both did it to me. They seemed to put more expectation on me.
You're older, right? You're the oldest.
I'm the middle, actually.
Oh, you're the middle? Oh, your brother's older than you? Mm-hmm. Really?
No, we're a middle child, but I'm not a typical middle child.
Yeah. So you get along with your mother?
Yeah, I do.
You're able to speak your mind and deal with her problems?
And with both of them now, too. Yeah. And I tell them, look, and that hasn't happened in a few years, because I don't live there anymore, and I'm kind of off on my own. But when I was still, like, you know, living at home or in school, and there's something that happened, I would say, listen, that wasn't me, and you guys can't put that on me. And conversely, you guys can't let them slide on that just because you think that, you know, they're not, like, you know, they make excuses for them.
Let me ask you, did your mother teach you to love your father?
Not so much.
Not so much. That's unfortunate.
Yes, but we've moved past that, though.
Right. And the message today is, because of this Mother Day, I want mothers to start teaching their boys and girls to love their fathers. You know, even if they're mad at the father, do not pass that on to the children, because it changes their lives for the worse, to the negative. And the kids grow up, you know, choosing the wrong man, you know, boys choose the wrong lady. But mothers need to teach their children to honor their fathers.
Yeah, I will say that I think that she didn't necessarily teach me to love my father, but I don't think she knew how to teach me that. Yeah. But she did, aside from that, bring us here to help us get by the things that she didn't know how to teach us to get around.
Yeah. I was thinking the other day about some of the mothers who have come to Bond for a long time, and I had the utmost respect for them, because to be able to come to the Bond meeting and let your kids expose everything that's going on, you have to want to get well. You know, and some of the mothers, Sherry and Rhonda and what's your mother's name? Christine. They have done that. Ozzy, they have done that. You know, and so a lot of mothers don't sacrifice their ego for that. You know, for their children like that. And these women have gone through so much embarrassment, and the kids are telling what's going on, but they have hung in there with the children and hope that they'll get better, and it's paying off.
And I think that the difference between her and these mothers and some other mothers out there is that she may have known what she was doing, but she knew it wasn't right. Yeah. And she was humble about it not being right, and she wanted the best for us, and so she tried to give it to us, whatever means she knew best.
And now you'll be able to pass it on to your children.
Right.
You know, once you get married. Right on. Yes, ma'am. You had your hand up.
Yeah. I feel good because I'm doing a lot of the things that you said on here.
Right on.
And my mom has passed away, but in the end, I resented her for years and years and years for one thing she did. And once I wanted to get free of that, I realized she was only working with what she knew.
That's right.
And she had made a mistake. And I told myself, would you want, and I had a daughter at that, my daughter was a little one, 2 years old. And I asked myself, do you want your daughter right here to hate you for years and years for one mistake you did?
Yeah.
So that helped, allowed me to forgive, and I wanted to make that comment to him, John. You know, that helped me get over that one mistake my mom made. And I know my mom loved me, you know, she didn't put me out the house and all that stuff. So, you know, I was just like, when I was hearing you go through that, you know, I was like, the reason why you would want to call your mom, you got to be that difference to show them. Because love conquers all. If we want to be, you know, if we say love, love really does conquer all. It will change a person. You want them to change, you got to want to change too. And that's how I got to, because my mom did a thing that I never thought I could get over. And it still has an effect on me today. So when I was hearing Jesse say about the men and how women, with the things that we do, and I was like, wow, now I know why I stay around here, because I was like, I'm going to find me a good man from being around here. Because I know I have like some issues that, you know, like how he said women are, you know, macho. I want to be feminine, but I will speak my mind. I will put it in a man in place in 2 seconds. My friend loves to bring it up in my face, how I will tell a group of, and it could be a whole bunch of men, and I will say something like, if the next person says something, they're going to have to deal with me. You know, and that's just hilarious. She's like, it's all these men in here, and they're going to have to deal with you, huh? Well, you know, but I forgave my mom, and it just made, and my mom was a hard mom, and I didn't like a lot of things she did. But she did a lot of right things. Yeah. So I would make myself focus on that too as I was going through the healing of forgiving. And it made a great difference. And me and my mom was so cool, and I'm glad, you know, because she's not here now. And I was able to get over that. And I just see the things that I do with my daughter, you know, when Jesse told me about how I deal with the father, with my daughter. And I did, though, you know, I want a better relationship for her because I see that I'm not having that. Yeah. So I did the things that he tells me, man, it works.
Yeah.
So
right on.
Even though I don't agree with everything he said. But on that,
I can't even imagine one thing that you don't agree with.
You can't imagine one thing?
Not one thing.
I laugh at your comments, but all these things that you say about black folks, I'm like, he does not like black people. I laugh at it because I like to use it as comedy and stuff. It's funny.
Yeah, it's funny to me too. Yeah. When I'm talking,
it's true.
It's true. That's right.
Folks, I mean, a lot of black people would look at it, and even myself, you know, if I couldn't laugh at it, I would be like, now what is it? You know, I would have another little take on it. But then when I listen to it, I'm like, dang, that is true. We do that. Yeah. And so I'm able to get over it.
I love laughing at black folks. Yes, black people do. Black people do things that are not in the book. Really, they make up stuff. They make up stuff, and it's absolutely funny. It's amazing.
That's what's good about us, though. We'll, you know,
the world don't have to.
What, you know, if we don't have a thing,
you make it up.
Make it up.
Yeah.
And that's the greatest thing about us.
The world don't have to worry. Just keep black people angry, and things will keep going. Let me just do this.
That would make me angry right there, but I can laugh at it because it's true. I see the other side of it.
Yeah, that's right. And there's nothing like being able to see, huh?
Oh yeah.
There's nothing like being able to see, because when you can see, you see how silly it is to be mad about all of this stuff you don't need to be mad about. If it's true, it's true, and it's silly anyway. But when you can see some of the crazy things that we do and say as people, you laugh at yourself. Really, I don't believe some of the stuff I used to do. I think about myself, I'm like, how in the world was I able to do that? It's just like I was in darkness or something. It's just out of control. That's why God wants us to be born again so that we can see. See by the light, walk by the light. And when I say honor your parents, I want to make it clear that I'm not saying that you go along with what they have done to you. I'm not saying that you should agree with it. All I'm saying is that you shouldn't hate them for it. Honor means not to hate. It means to be honest, to speak up. You don't have to hang out with them all the time, but don't hate them so that when you get married, you start your family, you won't pass that same spirit down to the next generation. from generation to generation. So you gotta drop it right now by forgiving, and then start a new generation. That's what's gonna happen. You don't do the same things that your parents have done to you. But if you hate, you can't help but do it, and you cannot honor your parents. It will be fake. You'll go over there and have, when you hate your parents, your mother, you go and have Thanksgiving with them, but you're hating them through the whole thing, and you're there by obligation, by guilt, and not from love. When I visit my family, it's because I want to be there. I absolutely want to be there. I know they're insane, but I don't hold it against them because I was insane. I have fun with their insanity. And it's so nice because sometimes they try to get along with me. They buy me presents, or when they prepare a plate for me. I was at my aunt's house the other day, and she said, "I'm sorry I don't have anything for you to eat." And my aunt hates what I'm about, but she loves the fact that I don't hate them. I hope she doesn't see this tape. Because I love your aunt. But she's a liberal, and when I say liberal, meaning that everything is okay. And I'm totally different from that, right? When she see me on TV, everybody like, "Oh, you were really good. I really like what you had to say." And I say, "Okay, let me speak to my aunt. Did you see me on TV? Yeah. How did I do?" "It was all right." "You shouldn't talk about people," that kind of stuff. But she loved me. She respect me for who I am. I can stand on my own because I don't have that hatred. And I don't have to agree with them, but I don't have to be mad at them about it, and they know that. And that's the power of love, absolute power of love that comes from God. It's not a feeling, it's a way, a lifestyle, it's a way of living. And I love living this way. I gotta move really fast because there's some people I want to ask some questions of, and time is just going by fast. You had your hand up for a while there.
Jesse, I really am glad to have come here today. It's always really neat to be here.
Thank you.
But I was listening to what you said, and we spoke about a month ago, as you recall. And I thought about a situation when I worked at Markham Middle School in Watts. And I talked to you then, and it resonates now, this concept of mothers being mothers and inculcating this, what's right to the kids. Not just, well, they're going to do it anyway. That's exactly the experience I felt when I was working at that school.
Yeah.
And I wish that every mother, whether black, or Hispanic, or white, could come to that school, and you see the children, and you're thinking to yourself, we're going to pass the torch on to these kids?
Yeah.
Out of control. And it's only because the mothers, well, let them do what they want.
Yeah.
It's exactly like you said.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring that point out, and God bless you for saying it. And to be a parent is the hardest thing in the world, but we have no choice.
Let me say one, and I appreciate it, thank you. Let me just say this. It's really not hard being a parent if you love what's right more than anything else, and you're guided by what is right. But if you're not guided by love, it's hard to be anything, really. It's hard to get up and go to work. It's hard for anything. That's why we must come out of the darkness into the light, by realizing that we're wrong. Because it is a challenge, but if you're guided by God, guided by what is right, it's a fun challenge. It's just the situations you deal with. But if you're not guided by that, you're guided by anger, it is hard. Because the kids are going to rebel against that anyway. Kids can tell when mothers are angry. They know when you're angry. They know that you're not coming from love, and they're going to fight you all the way. But if you're coming from love, they will not fight you all the way. They'll still give you some issues, but it will not be hard. You got my word on that. Because perfect love casts out all that. It gives you perfect direction. Because perfect love is powerful. You don't feel it, you don't taste it, but it's powerful. I got to do this because I have about 5 minutes, and I need to ask you some questions, but I need short answers. Is that possible? Have you forgiven your parents?
Yes.
Yeah. And what did you have to? Who did you have to forgive? Both, or one, or which one?
Well, the prime one was my mom.
Your mother. What did you have to forgive her for? 1 minute. Okay, I'm gonna take two. Go ahead. I'll give you two.
Okay. I had to forgive her for just certain abuses in my past. I had to forgive her for not being available all the time as a mom.
Yeah. And how do you know for sure that you have forgiven her for that? How do you know you've forgiven her?
Because I don't feel the same resentment.
You don't feel
I feel love towards her. I feel, and she's the same person. She does a lot of the same things, and they don't affect me the same way.
And how do you feel about yourself?
I feel, I still have some resentments towards myself.
What do you resent yourself for?
Not being enough.
Not being enough? Enough of what?
I don't know. It's not doing everything perfectly. I know.
And do you know how to forgive yourself?
Just realize that it's completely unrealistic.
I'm sorry?
Realize that it's completely unrealistic because there's no perfection in anything except Christ.
Here's what I want you to do for me for a week because we're out of time. I want you, when you pray, do you sit still and pray? Or do you hoop and holler?
No, I did the week meditation of just asking for nothing this past week.
Yeah, here's what I want you to do for a week because I believe, and I could be wrong, that you haven't truly forgiven your mother. Because what you're feeling about yourself is what you're resenting her for, making you feel that way and treating you that way growing up. And because I know for a fact, well, not for a fact, but I'm absolutely sure that when you forgive your mother, you're free from all things. There's nothing left, you know? And so I want you to sit still for a week, morning and night, and then next Sunday let me know what happened. Okay. And then when this voice is talking to you in your head, pay it no mind. Just wait and see. All right? Because I believe there's some things that you see about your relationship, you don't see about your relationship with her yet.
But those things apply to my dad too. Could it
Well,
be
both of them, man. Yeah, both of them. But I want you to see it and don't hate it all over. Just feel what you feel about it, and you'll go free. All right? Because when I stopped resenting my parents, especially my mother, I had no resentment for anyone at that point. He set me free from everything, all resentment. And so that's how he'll do it for you. But don't listen to what the thoughts are telling you about it. I want you to watch it. Will you do that for me?
Yeah.
All right. How much we have? 3 minutes left? Oh, sorry, I do my little commercial thing. But let me just say, happy Mother's Day to the mothers today. And the solution to all this is to know thyself, be honest about yourself, and forgive. You got to forgive. When you can forgive others, it started with your mothers first, then God will forgive you and set you free. Absolutely set you free. And then love will be passed on to the next generation. So you got to forgive. You got to forgive. And a mother have an awesome responsibility to pass down love to their children from the father as he getting it from God. And then we can start a new generation. I appreciate you tuning in, and if you have any questions or comments, you can email me at bond@bondinfo.org, bond@bondinfo.org. Also, the Be Still and Know prayer. And I know a lot of folks like to hoop and holler when they pray, oh, help me, Lord, all this stuff. You can still do that, but do the Be Still and Know and still hoop and holler and see which one you end up with. Because you may not trust me, all right? And I know you're lifting up holy hands while cussing out your children. But do the hoop and holler and do the Be Still and Know. Go to my website and get a copy of Be Still and Know. It's a prayer on the CD. It's going to show you how to calm down and allow God to reveal and set you free. Also, you can sign up for copies of our newsletters there. You can donate to our nonprofit organization. We need your tax deductible donations and your tithe and offering in order for us to continue doing what we're doing here. We don't get money from the government. We rely on you to help us. But most importantly, mothers, you need to return to God. Love your fathers, love your husbands, so that you can love God and guide your children in the right way to go, especially your daughters. All right? Again, thank you so much for tuning in, and let us hear from you. You guys enjoyed this today? Yes, sir. Did this help a little bit? Yes, sir. Oh, good. I had fun today. I didn't know how this was going to turn out. You know, in the 30 seconds that we have left here, I have to say there's nothing more beautiful than a woman who loves what's right more than anything else. Really. A woman that is moderate in all that she does. She has a sense of self-control. She's honest, but has a sense of self-control, not competing with her man, but loving what's right and becoming a woman and passing it on to her children. Again, I really appreciate you tuning in. God bless, and have a happy Mother's Day today. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that's it.